to part 2. So today we're gonna dive into even more Canva secrets. So let's get started. So we stopped here, and if you haven't seen part 1, check out the description because there's a video there for you. If you did, so you know that we stopped with adding a filter to a girl's image, and that's the difference. Okay, next up, we had some shortcuts and text effects. And I wanted to talk about how to add more fonts. So basically, you go to Google, you type in Google Fonts, and then inside there, you will click on it and you will just choose the fonts you like. What I like to do is I like to choose categories. So for example, if I'm looking for something handwriting, I'm gonna just leave handwriting, and that's really nice. And then I can choose the font that looks best for me. You can also buy some on Etsy, but basically that's all it is. So let's say I really like that marker font we see here. I'm gonna click on it, I'm gonna download the family, and then after it downloads, well, today hopefully, okay, so after it downloads, I'm just gonna go to Canva, and then inside there I'm gonna go to text, and in font section I can add upload a font and click here, and then I'm just gonna upload the one that we just had. So this is one, and here it is, and I'm gonna upload away. So then after that, I'm gonna have that font forever on Canva, which is great. And I like to have more fonts because that way, of course, I can set myself a little bit apart, and also I just like fonts. So here we have the new fonts already, and we can do all the effects we would with any other fonts, and just to show you a few. Okay, next up we have a text overlay. So this is actually really cool, and all you need to do is type in the letter you need and in the elements, and then it will just start showing you all these possibilities that you could create the font. And then once I click, for example, something like this, I then get more options and magic recommendations that I click on, and usually I have most of my letters here as well. Next up, we have text frames. So with text frames, we go to elements and we go to frames. And then inside those frames, we will find text as well. So I just type in T, for example, and I find my first letter. And once I find the first, or I think it's just text here, and I have all these letters for me ready to go. And then once I add a letter, I can then type in something like abstract and add something add something and add some colors to it. So for example, if I want a gradient, I can do that. So yeah. After that, we're going to talk about another shortcut that's super important, and basically it lets you increase the font size, and I use it all the time, so I wanted to share it with you. So I just click on it, and then I click the arrow key. I mean, I don't know how this is called, but I mean, it's shown. And then it just either decreases or increases the font size, so very, very comfy. Next, we have grids and spacing. So for this, we would click File and then Show Rulers and Guides. And then we get these rulers. And what is really nice is that we can drag them out like this and actually create some grids. This is definitely something probably most designers do to make sure that all the spaces are equal and look eye-pleasing. And because of this possibility, what you want to know is that there are different composition rules, And of course, there's way more than what you see here. But for example, we can either kind of group elements and make the most important one the lightest one, or change their color and make it different color, or change its shape, and that way that element stands out, or change its size. Now, this composition is kind of one of the most known, and this rule basically means that your object should be in those dots. So if you do want to use this, you could type in composition here, I think, or maybe a rule of thirds, here. And once I have that rule of thirds, I can actually add that grid to my design, and then just kind of, put the lines there for myself. So I'd go to File, Rulers and Guides, probably delete all of these rulers, and then just put the guides where they need to be to match the rule of thirds. Okay, next up we have the grids. So these are all the different grids that you could use. We have rule of thirds that I just showed you, golden section, golden triangles, a lot. But I mean, if that's something you're interested in and you are interested in improving your graphic design, then I definitely recommend looking up composition. And once you look up composition, you'll find so many composition examples that it's crazy. But I think it's important to start slow and kind of, go choose, for example, the S curve, and then kind of try to make designs with the S curve, then choose the triangle and try to make it with a triangle, choose an L shape. So just kind of choose one to begin with and don't overwhelm yourself with too many composition rules. Now, the very important thing is actually hierarchy. So for example, here we have text on top of another object, which definitely hurts readability, but also this text is just one block. So if it's a headline, it has to be separated. That way it's easier to read the headline. And then because the headline is always the thing that we put in order for people to read the smaller text, and a lot of people scan. So again, if it's too long, this is probably not too long, but it's just an example. It could be longer. It's usually the rule is 7 words for text, but obviously less for a headline if we can. And that's, to me, immediately, if you look at these two examples, it's very clear that this one is more easy to read, it's more eye-pleasing. And a lot of times what happens is that people say something is wrong here, I don't know what, but something is, like, let's say it's like this. They will just have a feeling that this is not the right design and that there's something wrong with it. Now, for spacing, you can use the rulers that I showed before, but what I also like to do, I just copy a square and then I make it the size that fits the space, and then I just move it around to see if all of them are matching so that these are the same. This is especially important for you to check at, and actually Canva has this pink grid to show you where the open space is. But if you want it smaller, then you would have to do it like that and then just have it so that you know. And sometimes I put it there and then I add my ruler over there, and it's really nice because then I can just delete this and know that this is where it is. Next we have move. So basically how to move different objects with ease, and there are multiple ways. One of them is actually to lock the design, so that way now I can't move this one, the orange one, because I've locked it. So everything else I can move, but not that one. And that is very useful and convenient. However, sometimes what I do, I just use a shortcut and put something at the front or in the back, or make something smaller and then move everything I need and then change the size or move it back and like that. So I kind of move around and that's more comfortable for me. But again, there's no right way. If that's more comfortable for you to lock a certain element, you can. If it's more comfortable to put it in the front or at the back, you can. Animation. So animation is extremely easy on Canva, and that's something that you definitely want to explore more. I think it's the easiest way to create animation. So basically we just click on the page and then choose from one of these and just create animation there. One thing I would keep in mind with animation is that it's like very cool to add all these elements, but for example, this is way too distractive. It's like, what is going on? So we do want to choose again the most important elements and the elements that are going to be in the background, and then only animate those elements that are the most important. So we don't want a moving background unless it's kind of subtle and like it's like leaves moving or shadows moving slightly, then it's okay. But if it's a busy background, then we will not see the main object, and that's of course a problem. Next up, we have search. So on Canva, I mean, a lot of people know a lot of things they want to search, but sometimes you need more ideas, and this is what this page is for. So there, I'm gonna link again in the description an article where you can find ideas of what to search. But for example, I could just type in this and find some block ladies. Could I write women, a woman, and then find it too? I could, but this is a kind of a specific style, and it's nice to have specific style images together. Let's try another one. I really liked this organic idea. I really didn't think of it myself. I found it on the internet, and it basically gives me neutral blobs and neutral colors that kind of match together. So I really like this, and I like to search. Another way to search is to search some of the Canva's brand things. And actually, if you go to Canva Online, this is another thing. I've downloaded the desktop version for my Mac because I've noticed that online my Canva is pretty slow. Maybe it's because I'm starting to create more designs or something, but it is quite annoying. So definitely keep that in mind. So one of the things is that you can actually learn with Canva, and I don't think many people know, but they have tutorials, they have courses, they have master classes even. So if this was exciting for you to learn, you could also look for some actual Canva lessons. And then we can go to design, and I recommend kind of checking these out because they're constantly updating things, and this is where they will show you the latest stuff. So we have the usual, we have some templates that you probably know, but I like to go to this page because then I see what's new. You can also choose a style, and I have the features where we can choose the free photos, backgrounds, people, and things like that. So it kind of gives you some ideas of what to do. And now if you need more ideas, then just type in Canva search keywords, and then you have all these elements that will help you create beautiful designs. And there's so many blogs that are doing that to just kind of give you ideas. So watercolor pattern, and I like this page in particular because it has those examples for you. And honestly, some of them, like Brutalist, I would never think to search. So it's really nice. Or Me Time, for example, and you have these stickers that are in the same theme. Okay, I talked a lot about this, but it's because I'm excited about this. And yeah, so another thing just to let you know is that if I save something as a video, it's obviously a video, but a lot of people don't know that you can actually save it as a GIF. So that's an option for you. Just make sure that you don't have too many animations and too much stuff going on. You want to keep it simple. GIFs are supposed to be simple, and I personally use it for newsletters and they work pretty well. Next, we have gradients. So that's something I love using. I love using gradients, and not only just random gradients, but let's say I have an image. Let me just move myself and see how I can make it a little better. Okay, I'm doing it all weird. Sorry about that. So you even could sign up for a free blog traffic course from this website. Okay, never mind. Okay, so let me go home and let me just do it on my website because I feel like I'm a little bit lost. I just downloaded the Mac version and I feel like I'm not 100% there yet. So we're back in my presentation, and then I'm just gonna click this, which is also a useful feature to see a grid view, because it really helps you to see. Like, I usually create a bunch of designs and then I just delete probably half of them, and it's just the process that works for me. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the grids, and now we're in the grids. Now I can finally make a new page. And once I make a new page, I'm gonna add a model because we need something to, so you see what I mean exactly. And we're gonna go to photos, and I'm just gonna choose a model that has kind of a different background. So let's say this is my model. Let's say this is where it ends. Let's make it a little bigger. Maybe let's flip the image as well. This is usually it's more desirable that people would read here. Okay, so now you see the blue. I will color pick it and make sure that it's the same color here. And as you can see, there's this line that is very visible and that we want to remove. So there's a couple of ways you could do this, but one of them is to use a gradient. Gradient. And then I usually type in transparent so that part of it is not like this. Part of it is transparent. Okay. So I'm gonna add it here, and I'm gonna add the color that I need. And I actually realized that it has to be the other way around. The more transparent side has to be on the side. Anyways, so now there's multiple ways to do this. If we go like this, the line is done, but then we kind of cover the model. So sometimes it's gonna be good because you want to highlight your ads copy, but most times you want the model there. So what I do is I keep this, and then I duplicate it, and I'm just holding an option key to create multiple ones. And to make it faster, once I create a couple, I choose all of them and I just drag it out, and it makes it a lot nicer and a lot quicker. So here, now we have this space. If you don't like the colors of it, what you can do is select all of them. Well, you can't, sorry. You can only select one by one. So that's kind of a pain, but that's always a pain, so that doesn't surprise me. But I will just select a couple of them, and then just change the color so you can see what I mean. I wish Canva did that if I select everything, I could change the color, but they don't do it, so it is what it is. But yeah, so I could just use this one then and do the same and kind of work my way to create this effect that I want to create. I'm gonna select all of them. So once we have a couple, I can select them and move them around, move the girl. And here, so now we have the kind of smooth transition. And that's what I was looking for. Again, this could be worked at a little bit if you wanted to, but this is how it would look like, and I like to use this a lot. Another way, of course, is to remove the background of the girl. So if that's something you want to do, sure, but sometimes you have certain images that have too busy of a background, or Canva background remover doesn't work perfectly, and of course that's a problem. Okay, next, let me move to shadow, and shadow is really important to design, I think. So I just type in shadow in the elements, and then I can either add a small shadow like this to my box. And the reason I do it like this is because this box in particular, this square, is a shape, it's not an image. That means that I can't add drop shadow in a normal way. Let's say I have paper. So I have like a paper square. So in that case, I can actually add like a drop shadow. So I'm gonna click shadows, and then I'm gonna click drop. See, so in this case, it's fine. So if you wanna do it like that, you can, but if you don't want to use a shape, if you don't want to use a photo, then you will have to do it like that, like with the elements. So for example, sometimes it's even faster. This circle, so for circle, I would write circle shadow, and that way I can add a circle shadow behind it, and of course make it less less visible, and that's it. I also like this gradient just because it's also from the elements. And last but not least is the photo. So if I type in shadow and then I type in photos, I can add some really cool looking shadows to my background, for example. And I usually decrease the transparency to make it less visible, but kind of, create that aesthetic view. Next up, we have contrast. So this is something from design as well, but obviously something that has a bigger contrast is easier to read, easier to understand, and is more eye-pleasing. So as you can see here, it's hard to read, and if I made it even worse, then it's not visible, it's not popping. But if we have something like this, then it's pretty nice. Now, if I make it completely white, it's fine, but sometimes for some designs that we want to be more elegant, maybe this is too harsh, so then I would decrease the transparency as well. We have color palette. So for the color palette, you could just basically go to Pinterest and choose the color palette that you like. So let's say I want nude color palette, and then I just screenshot the palette that I like. Let's say this one or that one or whichever. Let's say I like this green one. So I'll just take a screenshot, and then I will go back to Canva and I'll upload it. Wait for it to load. And now if I go to the colors, well, it's still loading. If I create a square, let's say, so to create a rectangle, I can just click R, and that's it. So I have my rectangle, and then I can either color pick it with the color picker, or another way for me to get this color is to actually scroll down, and usually the main image colors are here. So I just have a lot of images here, so that's kind of the problem. But yeah, I could do it like that and have my colors. You can also add it to your styles and your branding. And here again, you could just change everything with one click. So all the colors here are changed because of the one click, and I can just change the colors, or I can change colors and fonts. So this is also kind of nice, especially if you have a presentation to do this, then you could just apply it to all pages and you would be done. So all cards view I showed you, but again, this is the grid view, and it's really nice and I love it and use it all the time. Next up, we have a carousel creation. So to create a carousel, what you will need to do is create a design with custom size, which is 5400 and 1080. Try to move myself around. Now, oh, sorry. What I like to do here is I just like to add rectangles. So I'm gonna click R and then expand it. I'm holding Shift and Option to make it the same. And then I just copy and paste. Then I select both and do the same, move them around, and the last one as well. So I have all of them. Now I'm gonna turn on rulers and guides, and I'm just gonna move it, and it's gonna snap it to between the squares. So I'm gonna snap, and put them over there. And the cool thing is that once I've done it, that's it. I will keep it forever on this file. But basically this shows me where my image has to go, and either an image. So if it is an image, then instead of a square, I'd probably use the frames, not a grid, a frame. So I would just look for the square frame image that doesn't have anything and also has like this one, and then I would just add it here and have it. But usually when people are making carousels, they don't want that, they want to add graphic elements. So I would just choose the color of my carousel, and these are 5, so I would need 2 of them, and then I would add some elements that kind of are, you know, from going from one slide to another to make that feel. And one of the searches that I really like is dried flower, and I love to add them everywhere, and I make sure that it's on the line that I put it, like in the middle, so that when people are scrolling, they kind of have that smooth transition. So this is how you would do it. Then you would download the 2 files, and then you would go to image splitter tool. So there's multiple ones. I usually like the Pine Tools one, and then you just upload the image, choose the quantity of the blocks, and that's it. If you are going to create a feed, then you would choose 3 and 3 and both grid. So this is perfect for carousel and also for Instagram feed. What I mean by Instagram feed is that I can just type in the templates Instagram feed, and usually it pops up over here. So I have this one, and then we're just gonna use it to kind of draw the lines with the ruler. So I'm gonna click File, Show Rulers and Guides, and then I'm just gonna snap it to whichever. If it is uncomfortable for you like that, because I see that it's kind of has this weird gap, what I would do instead is I would create a page, go to elements, and go to grids, and then inside grids you can actually find the grid that has 9 squares. It's a little bit at the back, so have patience, but it's, I mean, it's not that far. It's just sometimes it loads a little bit slower. But here, so here we have this grid, then we can get rid of the spacing so it's easier for us to make equal squares, and then I just put the grid where the squares would go, so I just follow the lines of it. It doesn't have to be completely exact, but pretty much. So here, and I can then add my images and download this photo with all the 9 images to the split image, and then it's gonna split it automatically, so I will not have to worry. Next, we have hyperlinks. So to add a hyperlink, you just choose an object, click this link thing, and choose either the slide you want to add it to, or just type in. So let's say I want to add it to this tool. So then I would click on it and it would add it here, and that's it. I have my hyperlink. I mean, I think I made a mistake, but no, it's fine. So I have it. Now, if you do use hyperlinks, the most important part is that you download the PDF standard. And another thing, sometimes, I don't know why, I think it's just a bug on Canva, but sometimes the links don't work. So make sure to check them out. And also, if you want to be sure that the links will be working, ideally you want to either use PowerPoint or Google Slides or Keynote or something like that. If you need help with that, I actually have a video with Google Slides that shows how to add hyperlinks, which is called Canva Links Not Working. So definitely check it out if that's something that you need. Now to lock elements, so I showed you already, but just, to repeat, it's really cool because sometimes I want to delete everything besides, let's say, the stake. So it makes it really, really easy. Now, how to copy from another design. So let's say I have, I like this one, and I want to copy and paste. Then I just literally use the shortcuts. So I'm gonna click on this. You can either copy or just use Command C, and then go to your design and use paste. Now this is a very cool one that you definitely need to know, and I usually look for these kinds of designs by typing in the keyword mood board. And as you can see, they have they have washi tape, they had flowers, and this is how sometimes I look for inspiration as well, because there are times where you create a lot of designs and you're just kind of, you don't know where to go next. And sometimes by clicking on one of the designs, I find an element that really sparks my interest, and then I go for it and click on it and do that design. So for me, like the spin, for example, I'd probably copy it and just paste it to my design because that's something that I like. And it works in the same way. Let's say you don't have the Canva Pro account, but you want to resize the image, then I would just create a new file and I'll just copy the whole thing to the file, and that's it. You don't need necessarily to have Canva Pro to do this. You can easily just paste the designs, as you can see, just by copying and pasting. Add grainy texture. This one is really nice, and all you need to do is you need to go to elements, type in grainy, choose the texture that you like. So let's say I like this one. Oh, this is kind of strong. This one, and then I make it bigger, and then I just decrease the transparency. And that's it. I can make it, let's say, 6 or 3 or 4 to just add a little bit, or let's say 2, and I just have a little bit of texture on my image, so kind of adds a little bit of noise. Now to add a fillable form, you would just save the document, and then there are fillable form PDF free things that you can use and create those forms. So there are a lot of options, but let's say this one. So you would just create a fillable form, and you will need to use an outside website to do that, but it is really nice, and you can also use some PDF templates already. Important thing is that if you want one of these forms, if you want to use this, you need to save it as a PDF standard, and that way edit there. Mockups, so really cool thing. Also go to edit image, and we have smart mockups, so definitely check these ones out. They're everywhere. And another place where I would kind of look for things is here, and I would click more, and here you actually have a lot more design opportunities and options, so you can connect it to smart mockups. You can also try all these other apps that are synced with Canva. And Canva Learning, so I've mentioned it a little bit, but definitely check out Canva's Learning opportunities. They do have a lot of courses, and I feel like they're pretty fun to do. So for example, I'm gonna just show you really quickly. So they have some videos and some lessons, they also started showing this thing over here, graphic design basics, and this one is interactive, and basically you see a lesson on the left and then you play, click and drag on the right. So I think another thing that I would say is that if you do want to make an ebook or interactive course, this is kind of a good example how you could do that. So for example, here, it's really not difficult to do any of it, but it looks super cool. So on the left, we have the video here that we just click, and it's just literally, you just put a video, and then here you have to follow the instructions. So most of it is really easy. But also this one, for example, you click and drag. So it's funny because they hid the little icon here, but basically, like, I didn't do it here, it's a lie, but it's for a person, it's kind of a nice touch. And I also like this little arrow animation, adds a little bit of interest. So I would definitely check it out, if not for learning, for inspiration. It is really interesting. Okay, this is a super long video. If you would want me to add more Canva tips, let me know. And thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.